Hello everyone and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7, back to Trans Am for Season 5, Round 3. It is finally time. I sincerely apologise for how long this video has taken. We'll get into that shortly. But here are the championship standings. It's a bit early in the season to look too far into this, but Jester and Artsy leading the way quite close on points, so we'll see how that continues to play out. Unfortunately, we don't have Ando for this round after he dominated the previous round, I think it's fair to say, at the Red Bull Ring with a triple star. And in fact, we're missing Gren and Ash as well. So a lot of very fast drivers not here, as well as John Tita, who we're still yet to see this season at all. But on the plus side, Joken is back. And we've also got Wolf back, who we haven't seen since Season 1, so few returning drivers from the distant past of Trans Am as of late. But anyway, let's see how things pan out in qualifying while I go off on a tangent and explain a bit about what's happened with this video. So, because when we finish the race, the 2-hour race that we have coming up, I wasn't able to save the replay. I didn't have enough space, so I had to record replays using the share play feature on the PlayStation, essentially meaning I was watching the replays that Jester saved and recording from there. But I had to use a capture card, and I didn't know that if I had my headphones plugged into my controller, the audio wouldn't record on the capture card. Just a weird quirk of how it all happens. But anyway, so unfortunately the replays don't have audio, is the long and short of all that. But anyway, at least we do have replays, and I might just add some, I don't know, music or something else, just so it's not completely silent while we're going through replays. But anyway, as we're heading through our qualifying lap, it has started raining on our second flyer. Our first flyer was no good. I had to bail out and let someone through, I think. If I recall correctly. So yeah, that ruined our first flying lap. But anyway, I forgot to mention we have Porsche racing with us for the first time. But anyway, as we carry on, this lap's basically a write-off because of the wet conditions towards the end. But we'll bring it around anyway and see what we can do. It might help us out somewhat. But yeah, it's not looking too good. I mean, we're driving the Plymouth Superboat, so you know, qualifying's never going to be good in this car, let alone the race. But it's a tradition at this point. I have to drive it at some point in the season. So we come across the line and we remain at P7, but we do improve on our lap and actually get a somewhat representative time in. But anyway, that's where we finished up in qualifying, P7 ahead of Artsy and Heafy, and of course Joken and Furbs are not setting times so far, or at all, as usual in qualifying. But anyway, that's not too bad. We're obviously a ways off the pace, but I'm not even worried about that. Driving this car, I just want to survive the race. So, without further ado, let us get into it, because there's a fair bit to go through here. It is Wolf starting on pole position on the soft compound tyres upon his return to Trans Am. A great qualifying there. Slash starts from second position. Very good qualifying by the relative newcomer out of P2. Sparrow on the soft tyres, so softs for the top three, and mediums for Jester starting out of P4. Bananotto starts in fifth position on the soft compound tyres, and then it is Porsche on the medium starting out of P6. Myself in P7 with yet another evolution of the Superboat livery. Apollo and Artemis on the car this time. Starting out of P8 we have Artsy, and in ninth position it'll be Heafy, and further back, of course, on the back row as always, Joken and Furbs, and all of us at the back starting on the hard compound tyres, the back five. So we'll probably all be stopping quite early in this one with Furbs off the back of the grid. It'll be interesting to see how we will go down towards the first corner. So with a little time to go it is now time to go racing here in Trans Am. The lights are out and we are underway for 2 hours at Suzuka, and it's a fairly steady start for us off the grid, and we're just probably going to keep it a bit high and wide through turn 1 if we can. Artie's down the inside. We'll make sure we give Artie some room, as we are very much experiencing understeer through turn 1, and trying to adapt from soft tyres in quali to hard tyres at the start of the race is a bit tricky. Understeer there as well, as we give Joken the big squeeze, but Joken gets through around the outside. Good move there. And again, 2 wheels in the grass on the outside, getting that one done. But had the grip and the speed to get through. I was trying my best to give space, but this thing has a lot of understeer on the hard compound tyres in particular, so I was very much struggling at the start of this race, and I was glad that everyone was able to make their way through safely, as we just about dropped it on the exit there. I had to be very careful, but managed to keep things under control, and yeah, we dropped to the back, which is where this car essentially is going to be for the entirety of the race, I imagine, but we'll see how it goes. Here's the onboard with Joken, and yeah, it was should have been an easy move around the outside. We made it a little bit more difficult than it had to be, but yeah, I was really trying my best. But anyway, here's a replay of the start then, and Slash got off to a rocket ship launch from the inside line, and was able to just blast through into first position. Wolf does manage to hold on to second ahead of Sparrow, so those soft compound tyres on the top 3 working ahead of Jester, who maintains 4th ahead of Bananotto, so not the start Bananotto would have wanted, ahead of Porsche, Artsy and Heafy. And then here's the moment myself side by side with Joken, and yeah, Joken able to get through there, and Verbs very quickly able to follow through as well. But yeah, you can see the Superbird as it wobbles around, struggling to find traction wherever it goes. But yeah, it's an adventure driving this car, and it's a challenge I like to take on at least once every season. So yeah, we'll see how it goes throughout the rest of this race. But if we can just keep it clean and stay out of trouble, that's really all I'm hoping for from this one. But anyway, we've managed the first half a lap cleanly. That's the main thing. That's the most difficult part of the race. Towards the end of the first lap, though, Joken goes for the move around the outside of Heafy, and this was a nice one into the final chicane, and Joken gets the move done. Immediately, though, dives off into pit lane, and I was able to restore pit stop audio, so that is something. But Artsy boxes on the first lap with the softer compound tyres. Joken in as well. Joken going for the mediums for the next stint, and we will be doing the same. Same with Verbs, also onto the mediums. We understeer into the wall at the final chicane, so that was not ideal, and that was a little bit of damage to the front left corner, so a bit of a frustrating moment there, but nonetheless, we'll move on to the soft compound tyres for the next stint, and yeah, that should damage shouldn't slow us down too much. We'll get that fixed in this pit stop, top the fuel up as well, and yeah, we'll be off and racing once more on the soft compound tyres, as we already have some weather around. Nothing serious at the moment, but we do need to watch out for it, because the rain can make drastic changes to the circuit very quickly if it is heavy enough. But anyway, as we go on board with Porsche having a little bit of a moment through the S's, but keeps things under control for the time being, as we look forward to Artsy and Joken going at it after the S's past the Ferris wheel there, and they're still racing side by side here. Artsy on the softs, Joken on the medium, so a difference in tyre compound between these two, and Joken able to hold on for the moment, but Artsy clearly on the soft compound tyres with the pace, and might be looking to make a move into the hairpin. Artsy's definitely close enough to go for that move down the inside. Out of frame they go, and Artsy gets the move done. Joken doesn't fight that one too hard at the hairpin. Artsy's through, and can now carry on. back with Porsche, then towards 130R, running a little bit wide out into the runoff there, as conditions are potentially going to get tricky quite soon if the rain does come down harder. But anyway, through the final chicane, round the final corner, Porsche into the grass, a full about a 270-degree spin, and retires from the race there and then. So all got too tricky for Porsche, as Heafy isn't having much better luck, and a big spin at 130R for Heafy, and finds himself pointing in the wrong direction back towards the corner, but flicks it round and will carry on further in this race. And that could have been a bit of a dodgy rejoin there, but they get away with it. Here's the onboard with Artsy, who was coming through there, and Jokin as well, dodging the other way. So bit of an awkward rejoin there for Heafy, but anyway, Jokin boxes again to get rid of those medium compound tyres, and Ferbs employing the same strategy. So Jokin and Ferbs getting the hards and mediums out of the way right at the start of the race. Heafy boxes to get rid of the hards after 2 laps, and yeah, we'll now move on to the medium compound. Right, start of the race out of the way, and we're still struggling for grip even on the soft compound tyres. You can see in the bottom left the track's starting to get wet now. It's not to the point where it should cause us too many issues. That's just a general struggle we have in the Superbird through the S's, as Heafy boxes again to put the soft compound tyres on. So just a slight delay on the strategy there compared to Jokin and Ferbs, who will go flying on through as we find ourselves running wide through the second Degner there. But anyway, we move on, and we've got a passel brewing here between Jester on the medium compound tyres, holding off Bonanotto on the softs for the time being, but I don't think that's going to stay the same for much longer. Bonanotto makes the move down the inside and gets it done on Jester, moves up into P4 as we continue on board with myself through Spoon, and yeah, just struggling on in this race in 9th position, just running a bit wide there out into the gravel, and it's so easy to make just little clumsy mistakes like that in this car. Just it's hard to describe, but it's very difficult to have confidence in the steering, at least with my setup in this car. It's drivable, but it's very, I don't know, it's very unpredictable, and if you find yourself carrying a bit too much speed, there's not a lot you can do about it, and we find ourselves victim of that once more at the Casio Triangle, and yeah, we find the barriers there, a bit of damage to the front bar, front left corner, and that's going to give us some adverse handling characteristics for the rest of this very long stint that we'll be on, as Jester runs a bit wide. But the Superbird, very good on fuel, strangely enough. And yeah, we're going to have to live with that damage for a while, as Heafy runs wide as well, but adds a little bit of a 360 spin this time, and still running down in 10th position for Heafy, but will rejoin the circuit, but is actually currently getting blue flags, so we'll allow the leaders through, and well, that's actually Wolf and Sparrow going through there. As into the pits comes Jester to get rid of the medium compound tyres, and the hards go on for Jester, as oh, that is a moment there for Artsy, but seems to get away with it. But everyone's pushing on because of course every second counts, even if they're on different strategies. But oh, that's not a good moment though. Artsy into the wall, and just pushing it a touch too far there. Left hand side tyres got in the grass, and yeah, that is how quickly it could all come unstuck. Meanwhile, on board with myself, it has all come unstuck for us too, off the road in a big way, as we were heading towards Spoon, and we gas it up, get it spun around and pointing in the right direction again. But now we're getting blue flagged as well, so we're just gonna have to wait for Slash to go through. We're still getting blue flagged, as now we've got Wolf and Sparrow coming through, and we may have got a bit on the apex there as Sparrow was going round, but we're all good. We carry on, and yeah, that was a little bit of a disaster, and that's what I mean about the unpredictability of this car. It just snapped the wrong way at the wrong moment, and there's just nothing I could have done to catch it there. It just turned so violently to the left as it just wobbled a bit, and you know, I tried to correct it and off it went. So yeah, you really, you know, when I'm driving it, I feel like I'm driving at about 70% just to keep it on the road. So yeah, it's an adventure, like I said, driving this car, but we'll see if we can survive this race. But yeah, it's as you can see, it's not been an easy time so far. And again, through turn 1, we find ourselves wide out off the exit, and Heathy goes on through there. I can't really describe it, but there's something about just driving this car that's just more fun than anything else. Even if it's terribly slow and impossible to control, it's I don't know, I just enjoy the challenge of getting it around the track more than anything else. And if in, you know, the rare case like was at Blue Moon, we can be competitive in this car, then all the better. But anyway, Wolfie goes for a little half spin at the exit of the hairpin. That allows Sparrow through up into second position, as we go back on board with myself taking a little bit too much of the inside through the S's there and running wide on the next one, but we'll manage to keep things pointing in the right direction. But that somehow nets us a track limits penalty, despite how much time we would have lost through that sequence. But anyway, that's how that's played out. But let's be honest, that's not going to have any huge impact on how this race plays out. Sparrow goes a bit deep into the Casio triangle, but no big deal. Rejoins just ahead of Wolf, but shortly after, Sparrow comes into the pits anyway, and it will be the soft compound tyres going on for Sparrow. Meanwhile, back out on circuit, we've got Artsy on the back of Bananotto, and Artsy will make that move down the inside nice and easy on Bananotto. So that's a change for position there. Artsy moving up after making that early stop, and on those soft compound tyres now, making them work very well. Meanwhile, into 130R, just got a bit on the grass on the way in, bit of a 360, and we've got Artsy coming towards us now actually, but we'll manage to turn things around and get going once more. But yeah, thankfully the gravel trap on the exit did its job there, the runoff as well, helping us slow down. But yeah, just big moment, just getting the entry wrong. And not the only one, because Heafy is struggling as well through the S's, and just an awkward moment there, even on the rejoin as well, getting it all wobbly. But Heafy will eventually carry on. But yeah, we've both got very unbalanced cars, I think it's fair to say. And once again, we struggle on through this race. Another moment at turn 1, but again, getting away with it there. Meanwhile, in the pits, Jester is in for a set of the soft compound tyres, getting rid of those hards. Slash is into the pits as well, and it's going to be another set of soft compound tyres for Slash. Meanwhile, on pit exit, Jester was not ready, and had to wobble off the road to allow Heafy through, and yeah, Jester will get going again. But anyway, that's a bit of an awkward moment on pit exit, but no harm done. Jester will carry on, just having lost a little bit of time there on the pit exit. Meanwhile, Heafy continues to struggle on in this race, running wide at Spoon, and Jester will be back through on the inside there. Heafy doesn't make that one too difficult. But anyway, we carry on, and we've got Wolf into the pits, and it's a set of the soft compound tyres for Wolf. Artsy into the pits as well. Soft compound tyres again for Artsy. We're well past the half-hour mark in this race as Jester goes for a big slide through turn 1. Uncle Pete's not here, but we're not lacking the drifts. Courtesy of Jester through turn 1. Here's the onboard of that to see it from a different angle. A nice big drift there. Catches it, and yeah, we'll not have lost too much time out of that. As into the pits then next comes Bananotto, and it's the soft compound tyres that are going on there. Meanwhile, back on board with myself, still running down in 10th position in this race, and it is time finally for us to come into the pits and well, firstly get rid of these soft compound tyres that have definitely seen better days at this point. And I'm contemplating what to do at this stage, but we're going to go on to the mediums for the next stint. And as you can see, even by the time our tyres were cooked, we still have a chunk of fuel left. So yeah, it's a very, very good car and fuel, but at this point it was just worth getting rid of those soft compound tyres and moving on to the mediums and fixing that damage that we'd been struggling with for quite a while. Not sure why our windscreen wipers were on there, but anyway, out of pit lane we come then, and of course still at the back of the field on the medium compound tyres now. And yeah, we'll just see how these tyres go, and if they're going to feel okay on this car. Heafy's not feeling okay because that's another 360 for Heafy, and a bit more time lost, but again Heafy will carry on and come into the pits after that little spin, and Heafy will put the medium tyres back on for the next stint. So maybe the soft tyres not lasting very well on the Corvette. But as you can see, we just had a bit of a moment there. Very lucky not to crash in the way Artsy did earlier in the race at that zone of the circuit, dropping a wheel off. And oh, there we go. There's the moment. And that's what so easily could have happened, you know, 2 corners ago. But thankfully, even there at Spoon, just that little bit of gravel was enough to stop us, and a slower part of the circuit as well. So no contact with the barriers. We've been relatively lucky with a few of the moments we've had not to have too many barrier related issues, only 2 so far. But anyway, as we continue to watch on then with Artsy, who's making the move down the inside and getting through on Joken. So nice move there. Joken not making that one too difficult. As we go back on board with myself through turn 1, and again just a ton of understeer through the second half. It's so easy just to try and carry too much speed. Now we're getting blue flagged as well, so yeah, this is where it all starts going downhill once we start getting blue flagged and having to worry about that more and more often. But anyway, back to Heafy, who's still sliding into the wall this time after the hairpin towards Spoon. Nice 360 though. Heafy's getting very good at recovering from these moments and just continuing into a 360 and carrying on. But anyway, we go back to Artsy, who's continuing the charge, and is going to try and make the move on Ferbs, and will do so with relative ease there. So Ferbs not making that one too difficult. Artsy through and up into 4th position now. So Artsy on the charge in this one at the moment. But anyway, into the pits then comes Ferbs, and it is going to be soft tyres for Ferbs. Same strategy there for Joken just in behind. On board with myself then through 130R, continuing to have various issues with that corner, just trying to carry too much speed on that occasion, and we have another go at it, and again just running wide there. So it's a continuing issue. Now we're getting blue flags, so we're just going to use the runoff here to stay out of the way. But yeah, that is probably proving to be one of the most troublesome corners for us at the moment, and yeah, taking way too much of it that time. That's probably going to be a penalty for doing that. There it is. So yeah, it's a corner where I'm continuously trying to adjust the approach and try different things, but yeah, as you can see, it's quite often ended in not ideal ways. But anyway, as we continue to push on, bit of a moment as we're trying to get out of the way for Artsy there, but we managed to keep it out of the barriers. Here's the onboard with Artsy. We, as you can see, we're well out of the way, so no harm done there for Artsy, but yeah, just made things a little bit trickier for ourselves than necessary. On board with Heafy then, letting Slash through with the blue flags, and then has a little peek back up the inside. Heafy getting a little bit cheeky there, but anyway, Slash is cleanly through. Now we go on board with Jester, and a bit of contact with Heafy, as Heafy's again getting blue flag there, but yeah, not completely giving way to Jester. Here's the onboard with Heafy, and in Heafy's defense, there was probably a car width on the inside there, but Jester was a bit wide at the apex, just following Heafy deep into the corner, perhaps. And you can probably see it a bit more clearly from the off-board, so just a little awkward tangle, but no harm done. I don't think there was any damage to either car, and they'll both push on as Heafy gets a big wobble on the exit there, but manages to keep it pointing in the right direction. Back on board with myself then as we head into turn 1, and a big slide, and we just about managed to catch it and point things forwards again, but goodness me, that could have been far worse there. And that's what happens when you overstep the mark, when you try and just put a bit too much steering in. You know, it's surprising actually that I was able to catch that, but it is, strangely enough, a very catchable car when you do have a massive moment, so long as all four wheels stay on the black stuff and you don't completely snap in the opposite direction. It's actually not too bad at trying to catch it. But anyway, we see Sparrow come into the pits, and that is for another set of soft compound tyres, as we have a bit of a moment at the Casio Triangle once more. And that's just yet another one at that corner. Yeah, it's a very tricky braking zone to try and pick the exact right moment. We've been struggling with that all race long, as yet again into the pits comes Jester, and it's another set of soft compound tyres going on there for Jester. Into the pits as well comes Heafy, and medium tyres going on for Heafy. Slash into the pits as well. Hard tyres going on for Slash as we're into the second hour of the race now. And more pit stops going on with Wolf going on to the medium compound tyres. Artsy going on to the soft, so everyone making pit stops at this point in the race, just about. But anyway, back to Heafy, who's continuing to struggle on in this race. A big spin there, and that's an awkward one that's going to cost a fair bit of time, unfortunately, for Heafy. But as always, we'll carry on in P9, and yeah, still maintains that position ahead of us, but is not too far up the road, so we'll see. If Heafy keeps spinning, we might have a chance if we can keep it together. But anyway, Slash cycles through the pits once more for a set of the medium compound tyres as we go back on board with myself, just running a bit wide through 130R, but that's nothing we haven't done 1,000 times before in this race. Again, deep into the Casio Triangle, as conditions are getting tricky here. Our medium tyres have already taken a hit, and with the rain coming down, we're going to have to box and get some new tyres with some more tread on them to grip into the wet conditions. So it'll be the soft tyres for this stint, and yeah, we'll hopefully have some better luck on these ones. But yeah, it's been a tricky phase of the race, but past the halfway point we should be able to get to the end on one more stop, as Heafy goes for another spin, or has another moment under blue flags there, allowing the leaders to go through, but yeah, oh, that's just getting up to speed there again after going off a spin into the wall for Heafy. Goodness me. Heafy has had no luck in this one, as into the pits again comes Slash, so short stint on the medium compound tyres there, and it's going to be soft tyres for the next stint as we go back on board with myself as we get racing once more. And yeah, we are hopefully going to have some better luck in this stint. A bit of a slide through turn 1, but we managed to catch it and push on. But yeah, it's very, very tricky in the wet conditions as we see Heafy into the wall again, and the tough luck continues for Heafy. And this one was a bit of a weird one, just arriving at Spoon, and the car had more interest in turning right than left, as it seems. Kind of the opposite of what happened to me earlier on at a very similar part of the circuit. But anyway, on board now with Artsy as Sparrow steps aside to allow Artsy through. But Artsy goes a little bit deep into the final chicane, and that might give Sparrow the opportunity to take that place back on the exit. Artsy out a little bit wide towards the exit, and very dangerously close to losing it on the grass there, but manages to keep things pointing forwards. But Sparrow's through and back up into third position. But Artsy's not done yet, and Artsy continues to put the pressure on. And oh, big slide there for Sparrow. Big slide from Artsy. Artsy into the wall, and that is game over in that fight. And Sparrow will get away as Artsy finds the barrier. Into the pits then comes Joken and Verbs once more, and both of them will be switching to yet another set of the soft compound tyres that they've been using for basically the entire race. Artsy carries on into yet another barrier, unfortunately, and the day just goes from bad to worse. It's, yeah, been a very tough day for some of us here, and Artsy just going through a rough time in the race at the moment. Now on board towards or through 130R, spinning off into the barrier. Goodness me. It's brutal. It really is. There's nothing easy about driving in these conditions, as we see Wolf come into the pits, and that'll be for the soft compound tyres, as we see another moment for Heafy. Unfortunately, the tough luck continues, and yeah, we still see Heafy running in 9th position at the moment. But if this continues, we still might just have a chance at catching up as Heafy spins along the straight there. That is how tough the conditions are getting as Artsy is into the pits. Medium tyres going on for Artsy, I believe, there, as Heafy is into the pits, and Heafy, I think rather wisely, on the soft compound tyres. Anyway, as Jester drifts through the Casio triangle, getting some nice drifts in throughout this race is Jester. Look how fast those wipers are going as the rain is pouring down at the moment. I'm sure if we had audio you'd be able to hear that. Big spin and another crash there for Artsy, unfortunately. So still running in the top 5 actually is Artsy, so the race is not going terribly despite the number of spins. But the violence of that spin was certainly exaggerated by the contact with the barrier. Certainly made it look maybe worse than it was in terms of the spin, but that's going to be more damage to Artsy's car as Heafy runs deep into the Degners, and we'll have to make way for some blue flags on or through Degner 2. But yeah, it's very tricky conditions at the moment, and everyone is struggling to some extent. But when you've got a car that's out of balance like myself or Heafy or Artsy, the spins just don't stop coming, and yeah, it's a long compilation of spins for Heafy at the moment. But anyway, Heafy carries on as we go back to myself. What's going on in our world? Not a whole lot. We're just running down in 10th position, but we're not terribly far behind Heafy. That gap has been coming down with all these moments as Jester runs wide there. That allows Joken to go through and move ahead of Jester. So a change for position there. But anyway, into the pits once again comes Artsy. And unfortunately I don't know what tyres Artsy was moving on to, but perhaps moving away from those mediums, as off the road we go into 130R, and that gravel trap really did a great job of slowing us down because we were heading for that barrier at high velocity, but thankfully the gravel trap very much did its job there and helped us stay away from that and stay in the race. But yeah, that was a scary moment. But we get away with it. We still have a long time left to go in this race, so yeah, we can't relax yet. We're more than halfway through, but we still have over 45 minutes left, so this is a long race. It really is a test of endurance. But that's Heafy behind us, and this is why, because Heafy went for a spin through the final chicane, and that has given us a position and another spin as he tried to get going again. And that's all it took. That allowed us to get through and move ourselves up into P9. So all of a sudden, the patience to stay in this race and try and minimize the mistakes has finally paid off, and we've moved up a position in this race. Here's what's happened though with Heafy. Just awkward spin again, a bit like what we did earlier on towards the start of the race, towards Spoon. Just flicked one way and the other, and there was just no saving it. As soon as it flicks towards the outside, there's no way you can recover, as Artsy struggles on in this race and dropping down into P7 now for Artsy. So finally the mistakes are starting to cost a few more positions for Artsy after it wasn't looking too bad for a while. But yeah, in so many cases too, it doesn't really look like, you know, the driver is doing anything wrong, you know, regardless of who it is. But in these conditions, quite simply, the grip isn't there, and you don't have to do too much wrong to find yourself flying off the road backwards, and that's exactly what's happened there. Just a different approach, just running a bit wider out over the exit of the first Degner, and that just completely upset the car and allowed Heafy to go through. So yeah, that was a scary moment because we were right on the racing line as we rejoined, and Heafy literally went through us there. But thankfully we were ghosted as we were reversing back onto the racetrack. Here's the onboard with Heafy through that scary moment, and yeah, Heafy tried to give us some sort of space to stop. I was holding the brakes. There wasn't much more I could have done, but anyway, that was that. Meanwhile though, as we carry on, just trying to keep things contained through 130R, and we're right on the back of Heafy once more, so hopefully we'll be able to find our way back through. And actually it's not going to take too long. Heafy's lost it again. He's going to end up in pit lane there as we make our way through. I think Heafy's actually managed to keep it out of pit lane, so we'll need to see exactly how that happened. But a lot of us all bunched up in one part of the circuit here as we've recently been dealing with blue flag. But here's what happened. Heafy did manage to flick it back to the left and stay out of pit lane, but that's going to save a bit of time, but eventually ended up pointing in the wrong direction. Heafy gets it turned around to carry on once more, but yeah, that's a very costly spin there for Heafy as we see the replay on board of that one. And it's just the worst. When you have a spin and you end up pointing in the right direction, you feel okay about it, but when you point in the wrong direction in the end, it's horrible. But anyway. Meanwhile, Jester continues the drift show now at Degner 2, so Jester's slowly covering all the corners with these drifts. But anyway, we go on board now with Jester through 130R, and goodness me, that is some supersonic wheel work there. I don't know what that was all about, but anyway, good catch and good car control there, I suppose. But anyway, Bananotto comes into the pits, and that is for a set of the medium compound tyres as we go back to Heafy, who continues to find trouble in this one. But again, we'll carry on and continue this fight for last position. On board with myself, Ferb's going very slowly on the straight there. He was just getting blue flagged a short time ago as we drifted out, and goodness me, that could have ended a lot worse with wet and dry parts of the circuit off track there as well. That there was a lot of different grip surfaces, so I don't know how we managed to catch that, but anyway, we managed to do so. But yeah, we've already got Ferbs right on the back of us again after that moment, and Ferbs goes through. So I don't know if he thought I was a lead lap car or not, but anyway, we check back in with Artsy through the Degners. Artsy, bit of a moment in the second one, running wide on the exit, and again it's turned into a full spin there for Artsy, who gets going once more. But yeah, a bit more time down the drain unfortunately for Artsy, and same goes for us as we got off well offline into turn 1. Yeah, left hand side wheels just well into the grass in the braking zone, and that's just not going to work for you. So yeah, just unfortunate mistake there for us, and that's cost a fair bit of time. Still ahead of Heafy for the time being, but yeah, we are struggling a fair bit at this point in the race. Off the road again through the S's, so yeah, we're going to be just again pouring time down the drain. Here comes Heafy, and I don't think there's going to be much we can do. All things being equal, when we're both pointing in the right direction, Heafy does have a lot more pace, but we've both just had such troublesome races that we found ourselves at the same part of the circuit fighting for position at this time. But Heafy's easily through, and yeah, up into P9, so we might have lost that one, we'll see. As Jester's having a massive moment, into the wall goes Jester at 130R, and that's a big crash. We'll have to have another look at that one to see how it all started. But on board, and maybe just dropped a wheel in the water. But either way, Jester lost traction and slide over correction, and there was no way to stay away from the barriers after that. And a big crash there for Jester as Sparrow comes into the pits, and it's going to be the hard tyres going on for Sparrow. We go on board with myself now into that very corner, and a bit of an awkward moment again. We do exactly the same thing, and into the wall we go in almost exactly the same way as Jester. We definitely dropped a wheel in the wet stuff, and yeah, there was no saving it. Overcorrected into the wall, and that was it. There was no way we could have avoided that. Once it was gone, it was gone. And yeah, there was no getting it away from the right hand side once it snaps in that direction. Heafy also finds the barrier on the driver's right, and yeah, the struggles continue for Heafy. I don't know how to commentate this without sounding like a broken record, because it's been a tough day for many of us at the back of the field. But anyway, we go on board then with Artsy, who's starting to get back into a rhythm and is putting the pressure on Jester. But they're both currently getting blue flagged for slash behind. So Artsy, in the reverse situation of last time out at the Red Bull Ring, when Artsy was the one getting held up by two blue flagged cars fighting away, now Artsy is one of those cars with slash catching up. But Jester is gonna let Artsy go through. Here comes Slash, making the move around the outside of Jester. Jester's gonna stick right on the bumper of Artsy though. Slash not able to get around the outside. Jester's gonna move it out of the way and allow Slash to go through on the inside. So now it's down to Artsy to find the right place and time to let Slash go through. So we'll see how this goes as we see them head through the second half of Spoon. Artsy not willing to give this one up too quickly because of course Jester is right there, so Artsy doesn't want to give up this position, of course, that Jester has essentially just gifted him. So we'll see what happens here as they head towards the Casio Triangle. And of course we did see Artsy does have more pace, but not enough to... Oh, Slash, a big moment in the braking zone, and Slash very deep, and that is slight contact with the barriers in the end for Slash, but that could have been a much bigger moment for the race leader as Artsy was refusing to give way. Here's the onboard, and yeah, Slash just losing it a bit in the braking zone, trying to find a way past Artsy, and that actually, the contact with the barrier looked a bit more significant from the onboard. Here's the onboard from Artsy looking rearward. I think Slash maybe wanted to go to the inside, and Artsy ended up covering, well, not covering the inside, but moving to the inside to stay out of the way, and Slash was caught out by that and had to take evasive action to the outside. So I don't know, that's my read on that one, but yeah, just an awkward moment nonetheless between two cars on different laps, as that was a pit stop for Bananotto. Moving on to the softs as Heafy continues the endless line of spins at the Degners. Into the pits again comes Jester, that's for the soft compound tyres, as another moment for Heafy at the Degners. Goodness me. We go off the road too at the Degners just to join in the party, as I think I was joking and going through. And yeah, the battle with Heafy might just reignite here because we are right behind him once more. So despite how much trouble we've both had in this race, we've continued to find each other on track, but there's a half spin for us, and that's going to cost us a chance to battle away with Heafy for the time being, as we are continuously getting blue flagged as well, which is costing us even more time. But anyway, we'll get going once again and try and close down that margin to Heafy once more. But anyway, we've got Heafy into the pits now then, and Heafy moving on to the soft compound tyres. For the rest of the races, we are heading into the closing stages. The Furbs into the pits as well, as we head into a spin, and that's a really awkward one, and that's gonna, well, I was gonna say it's gonna end with us pointing in the wrong direction. It wasn't too bad, we were able to avoid a 3-point turn, but yeah, that was unnecessary. I was hoping to go longer than Heafy in this stint and then have fresher tyres to maybe have a fighting chance at the end, to have a bit better pace, but yeah, with these couple of moments that we've just had, that opportunity might just be gone. But we'll see, because Heafy's also not having the best run of luck throughout this race, and that's another off there for Heafy. So there's still a chance, but okay, well, there's more of a chance now. Heafy's found the barriers there once more at the exit of Degner 2 on the inside. I haven't managed to hit that one yet. I've hit a lot of them, but yeah, Heafy's made a habit of that one, and another moment there for Heafy, and this is just it's a never-ending downward spiral, isn't it? It's proving a very tough race for Heafy in that C3 Corvette. It's got to be said that it is not an easy car to tune and drive, the C3. I've got a plan for later in the season, and I've had my share of troubles with it, trying to get it up to speed. But another spin for us at the hairpin. Again, might cost us an opportunity, but we'll see as we try and keep it out of the way for the actual contenders going through. But yeah, this is not going well for us. This extending that stint, it's I think proven to maybe not work out so well. But anyway, Sparrow was into the pits there, as well as Slash, and I think everyone by now should be going into the softs for the end of the race. Artsy as well into the pits for softs. Back on board with myself then, and we are also going to be going into the pits now for the soft compound tyres. And with less than 15 minutes to go in the race, we're not going to need too much more fuel, so with a reasonable margin to Heafy, we might actually hold on to this position with Heafy's extra stop and the struggles that Heafy has had. We speed up the pit stop, fuel's done, damage is getting fixed, and yeah, I think we should be okay to come out in 9th position, which is massive, and that is a huge help for us. I could have, put more fuel in to potentially go faster to the end of the race as we slide again through turn 1, but the matter of fact is that if I turn the fuel mix up, I'm probably just going to crash, so let's not do that. This car is reasonably well balanced in map 6. If I put extra fuel in so I can turn it up to map 1, I don't think it's going to end well, just to be honest. So yeah, as we carry on though, we have a bit of a moment through into the hairpin, but we mostly get away with it. Cost us a bit of time, but it's time we really can't afford, because as I said earlier, Heafy's car definitely has better outright pace as we go on board with Jester once more, getting it a bit sideways through 130R. But yeah, we really need to minimize mistakes, because it's the only chance we're going to have at staying ahead of Heafy in the end, as Jester's continuing to have a few little moments here and there, but nothing too major for Jester, just pushing the limits late in this one. But anyway, we check back in with Artsy, who's going to be making a move down the inside of Joken into turn 1. Artsy gets through, and oh, there's a hit from behind there. Artsy spins around, and Joken, as they were facing each other for a moment there, Joken's through, and Artsy drops down back into 4th position. So Artsy's actually recovered pretty well here, but yeah, Artsy making the move, and yeah, Joken into the back of Artsy on the exit. But yeah, just another awkward bit of contact. Artsy sent it in pretty deep to get the move done. Joken maybe just didn't quite anticipate Artsy slowing up a little bit on the exit to make the corner, and yeah, just an awkward tangle between those two. Wolf boxes for the hard compound tyres late in the race. Jester makes a stop for the softs with less than 10 minutes to go in this race. We have another moment through 130R as Heafy catches up to us, so it's on. This fight for P10 is going to go to the end of the race from here. We're both set for tyres and fuel, so we can just battle on now to the checkered flag. And wow, Heafy is right on our bumper, right under the enormous rear wing. He's actually taking a look to the inside as we head towards turn 1. The car swaying around a little bit in the braking zone, which I'm sure is unnerving for anyone who happens to be behind us, but we managed to wobble our way around the outside and maintain the position. These two cars fighting each other is quite something. The unpredictability of the handling of these two cars. We're trying to leave each other a lot of space, and to be fair to Heafy, while he was behind me here, he was being very respectful and certainly not going at full attack. So I very much appreciate that, because especially through the S's, the Superbird is much slower than the C3, and that's where we were losing a lot of time. But anyway, we're trying to hold on as best we can as we head through the Degners, and all of a sudden Heafy's disappeared, so I think he's dropped it again somewhere. We'll see on board. on board through this whole sequence. And yeah, Heafy was well up the inside actually, but the Superbird has been good on the brakes in the past. I don't know how it measures up these days, but we were able to outbrake Heafy around the outside and maintain the position. But throughout this whole sequence here, Heafy was very much off throttle, and you can see how much time Heafy was able to gain just through one corner alone there. So C3 definitely has the upper hand through the corners as we're just understeering corner after corner, and Heafy trying to set up a little switchback here to try and maybe sneak up alongside, maybe looking to the outside. I'm just trying to keep the thing pointing in the right direction as much as possible and just park it on the racing line, and then Heafy just drops it through the first Degner. And yeah, that was it for Heafy, and that could be the end of that battle. And yeah, that's all it took. Just overstepped the mark slightly, maybe a bit too much steering, a bit too much power, I'm not sure without the audio exactly what caused that spin, but yeah. Oh, and another one too. So it's yeah, it seems tricky. We've seen it a few times with Heafy. After he spins, he always, or quite often, spins a second time. That's Jester spinning for a second time at 130R into the barrier. So Jester coming unstuck there now twice in this race, and has had a couple of close calls on top of that. But a carbon copy of what happened earlier. Big impact with the wall for Jester, and yeah, that's yet another big crash at 130R, where there have been several already in this race. But anyway, continuing on board with myself, a spin into the hairpin, and that might just give the position to Heafy, because we've ended in a really awkward spot pointing out into the gravel trap. There goes Heafy through on the inside, and that has cost us P9 in this race. Right there and then. I was so frustrated with that, because up until that point throughout the final stint I'd actually been driving really well and had been minimizing those sorts of mistakes quite well, but yeah, with just a couple of minutes to go in this race, it has all come unstuck. Heafy's got a penalty, but I've run wide a spoon as well, so there's no chance I'm gonna get back through there. So yeah, that was frustrating, but we'll see what happens with the number of times Heafy's lost it in this race. There's still hope, and in fact, it was right around this time I said to Heafy in the party chat, I know you've got another spin in you, so yeah, if you could deliver on that, that'd be great. And yeah, well, we'll see if Heafy does, but for now we'll just have to try and minimize the mistakes and just get to the end. And oh, yep, sure enough, Heafy's lost it again. It took all of, I think, about 12 seconds between my request for Heafy to spin again and for it to actually happen. So, yeah, appreciate that one, Heafy. Thank you very much. That gives us P9 back once again. And the battle of the spins continue. Let's review this whole little sequence, though. It was the worst kind of spin into the hairpin. Like I was saying earlier, that kind of spin where you end up pointing in exactly the direction you don't want to, and we had to do a full U-turn in the gravel trap. Here's Heafy's moment. It actually started on the way into the chicane, but that itself wasn't too bad, and then he drops it on the way out as well, and that's what was what allowed us to get through and move ourselves back up into 9th position. As Heafy drops further back. Oh, he's lost it again on the exit onto the main straight. Goodness me, it has been a tough race for Heafy, it's fair to say, but he still carries on with just a couple of minutes left to go in this race, the final lap for sure for us. But yeah, oh my goodness, and again a turn 1, he manages to mostly catch it that time as he smokes it up. Let's focus on something else for a while as we go on board with Artsy making the move on Joken once more, as Joken had to serve a penalty there on the straight, so that gives Artsy the position, and Artsy moves back up into 3rd, so finally getting that place back into the chicane. Though Artsy goes deep, Joken's going to get this one back potentially as they run side by side on the exit. Joken gets the squeeze but Joken manages to get back through, so Artsy throwing it away the moment he got the position there, unfortunately. So we'll see. Now on board with Artsy once more. Artsy has the run, but not keen on making that move again. So yeah, Joken holds on to P3 for now. Meanwhile, back with Jester, who I think is going to be the first to cross the finish line, although it has a fairly significant air gap in front at the moment. So Jester is calling this one early and is going into celebration mode. So P7 for Jester, so not a result to celebrate too much. It's been a mixed race for Jester, and oh, that's a spin and crash into the wall at the end there. Ferbs swerves across to join in the fun. Jester flicks it around and burns up the last of that rubber to get moving again. But yeah, it's been mixed fortunes, and there's the onboard with Ferbs on the way through. But yeah, like I was trying to say, mixed fortunes for Jester throughout this race, a few offs. But yeah, perhaps not the outright pace compared to, say, the likes of Artsy, who had many offs and is fighting for a podium in the end. But Jester takes P7. Ferbs will come around to take 8th position in the end, giving that one back to Jester at the end there. So those are the first two to cross the line. Meanwhile, we go on board with Artsy as we're moving out the way for these two. We're not getting involved in this very heated fight at the end of the race for the final place on the podium. And Joken's got it under control. Artsy sends it into the chicane one final time, but only to close the gap. Unfortunately, no podium for Artsy today. Joken's going to take P3, and Artsy will have to deal with 4th position. But back to the fight between myself and Heafy. It was not quite over because we lost a lot of time with those blue flags, and that allowed Heafy to close right up to us as we come into the chicane for the final time. And Heafy was making the move around the outside. We sent it back up the inside though, and tried to barge our way back through on Heafy. That was very aggressive though on my part, and I kind of just drove myself off the road there at the exit of the chicane. I was a bit busy trying to figure out where Heafy was. There was contact between us, but anyway, Heafy gave the position back as we come across the line. He argued that I was way too generous to Joken and Artsy, but anyway, here's the onboard with Heafy, and you can see he basically had the move done, and then yeah, we barged our way back through. So yeah, that was a bit aggressive, and then Heafy maybe a slightly dodgy rejoin, but yeah, myself, you know, I just drove myself off the road there at the exit of the chicane, so that's on me. That's being clumsy. But anyway, we drilled Artsy across the finish line because Artsy had run out of fuel as well. But let's focus on this because Slash has had an absolutely fantastic race, and Slash is gonna take victory here at Suzuka after just 2 entries in Trans Am. What a performance from Slash. Sparrow will take a P5 in the end of this one, and a little bit further back on track is Bananotto, who will eventually come to the line for P6, but it's I think been a bit of a frustrating race for Bananotto. He's had a lot of steering wheel related issues with the wheel disconnecting, which might have actually happened there because I think that's when the hazard lights come on. But yeah, it's been a tough day for Bananotto, and it's going to be P6 when he eventually makes his way to the finish line, coming through the final corner now though. And to the line comes Bananotto to take P6 in this one. And I think that just about wraps up the finishes. Oh no, we got Wolf. Wolf comes through to take P2. Let's not forget our returnee from Season 1. And Wolf takes 2nd position. And I actually forgot to include this earlier, but here's my onboard of that last lap little sequence of events. I did actually have a fair gap to Artsy and Joken, so that's why I had to slow down so much to let them through. But I knew if I had any kind of moment through 130R and the final chicane, you know, they would have been right on me, and I didn't want that, so I thought I'd better play it safe, and then there was nothing safe about that with our final fight with Heafy. But you can see there, right when on the exit of the chicane, I was looking back to see where Heafy was, to see how badly we barged him off the road, basically. But anyway, in doing that, I drove myself off the road, so yeah, that was the second part of that. Certainly wasn't Heafy's fault coming back onto the track. That was just me driving off the road. Anyway, we sorted ourselves out in the end to 9th for myself, P10 for Heafy, but race win for Slash after just 2 entries in Trans Am. That's massive. Wolf on his return to the series takes P2. And Joken from last place rounds off the podium, or from second last on the grid, I believe. Ferbs started from P11, but yeah, what a race! What a crazy, chaotic race. Artsy, after all those crashes, manages to bring home P4, which is not bad. Sparrow, a bit more of a controlled drive to P5, but not Otto. I don't think we really saw him the whole race, other than through the pit stops. A very steady and safe drive to P6 for Bernardo, P7 for Jester after those couple of spins late in the race at 130R and a few other moments as well, and then Ferbs. Myself, Heafy, rounding out the finishes, and then Porsche with the DNF on lap 2, I believe it was. But yeah, there we go. Goodness me. That was an experience, driving the Superbird around Suzuka. But a very fun race. After the kind of race that I had and the kind of race that Heafy had, I cannot believe we managed to find each other at so many points throughout the race, let alone at the end. We were 5 laps down, but somehow we were fighting each other on track. I don't know how that happened, but anyway. It is the first non-triple star of the season, after talking about how much of a rarity they were after the first round, but it's yet another win for the Chevelle. Third driver to win in a Chevelle. There's my realization that I couldn't save the replay, and the reason there was no audio for the replays all throughout. But yeah. He even told me that the replay was saved after that, which is kind of funny, but anyway. Here's just a weird graphical glitch, by the way, not sure what's going on here. But anyway, here's the points standings after that round. Artsy now takes the championship lead with a total of 82 points, 5 points ahead of Jester, who sits on 77. Then it's 11 points back, further back, I should say, to Ferbs on 66 points, and then it's reasonably close after that, just 64 points for Sparrow, and then down to just 58 for Slash, who's only done 2 races, so that's a lot of points from just 2 races, but 34 of those coming from this one with the fastest lap as well for Slash here at Suzuka. Bananotto is next. And, I mean, Bernardo essentially only has 2 races as well. Total of 54 points, only 6 points scored at the Red Bull Ring, the lowest points haul from a single race in championship history. And myself rounding out those who have competed in every round with 46 points. Anyway, that is going to do it for this one, so I will say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Please feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. It is always very helpful. And other than that, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.
When the Superboat, the ship they ride, understeer won't break their stride, no downforce to hold them back. Oversteer is their soundtrack. Going down a mission, revving engines loud. Twins of Olympus on a new cloud. Engine on song, break the silence of the night. Hunting down the pack, it's a cosmic fight. In chariots of muscle, they chase the dream. 750 horses, hear them scream. Determination wrapped in a steel embrace. Olympic gods in a high-speed chase. Blazing tires, spinning wheels. With every turn, black rubber feels. Speeding through the twilight mist. Driving this thing takes a steady wrist. Pulling the superboat, the ship they ride. Understeer won't break their stride. No downforce to hold them back. Oversteers their soundtrack. That engine makes hearts pound. Tires dancing across sacred ground. RPM is pushing for red. Godly power pulls ahead. Drives like a boat, but heart's still strong. It almost feels like something is wrong. Twin gods in a racing show. A place where only legends go. With a superboat, the ship they ride. Understeer won't break their stride. No downforce to hold them back. Oversteers their soundtrack. Tires screech as engines roar. Destiny's an open door. Speeding through the ancient lore. Legends not of myth but more. Plymouth superboat, the ship they ride. Understeer won't break their stride. No downforce to hold them back. Oversteers their soundtrack. Plymouth superboat, the ship they ride. Understeer won't break their stride. No downforce to hold them back. Oversteers their soundtrack.